At the Ogallie Scenic Railway, we now have a mainline signal. In its former life, it stood proudly on a mainline somewhere, controlling rail traffic 24 hours a day. Fortunately, it was saved from becoming scrap by someone who had the foresight to recognize its historic value, and now it's up to us to make it useful again. It came as a pile of rusty metal, a collection of parts discarded by a railroad at some point in favor of more modern signal equipment. After we realized that it was complete, we hauled it off to get sandblasted before we started the restoration process.
So what you're seeing here is a signal mast and ladder and bracketing that we recently acquired in Iowa from our friend Jim. Jim is the man that we got all of our rail from, northeast Iowa. He had a 2-foot gauge railroad down there that he's had to take up for various reasons. And so we acquired this as part of that deal. And so we're going to be putting this signal up on the main line between the two Y tracks facing south and on the east side of the track, so that when you come into the driveway you can see it and it'll be lit up and it'll be fully functional. So this signal, very, very, very common on US Class 1 railroads, you know, since the 20s and 30s, probably before that. And what it is, this one dates to the early 1940s, and it's comprised of two heads. We have a model H2 union switch and signal head on the top, and a smaller fixed indication signal on the bottom. We have this door. This is the back door to the signal head, and this is where you would access the mechanism that controls the light. And around this door there's a seal. It's a watertight seal to keep moisture out of the inside of the box here. Now this seal is made out of this, it's a wax impregnated hemp rope, and this is the original rope from the 1940s, and it's in pretty bad shape. I can't break this one, but it does, you know, it is falling apart. So we are replacing this with this. Now, they don't make this rope anymore. So we have a wax impregnated hemp rope here, which is used in the marine industry for, let's see if I can find the box. It's for shaft packing the shafts on boats. And this is it comes in different sizes. This is 5/16 inch, which turns out to be the perfect size for what we're doing. So we've got most of this on here already. I wanted to kind of show you a couple of, putting in a couple of sections of this. And basically what they did was they've got clips that go in from the outside. They're brass clips. And here's what they look like. Come on in close, Justin. There's a brass clip, and it has a separation on the end. And so what you would do is you would drill a hole through the rope, come in from the outside, push the pin in, the fastener in, and then once it's in, you take the two ends and you separate them, squeeze them together, and you can kind of see this on this side a little bit. It's kind of hard to see, but it does hold this in pretty well. And that holds it tight to this outside rim. And that's the only thing that holds it on. So then when you're done, you close this up. I can't do it now, but you close it up and you've got a watertight seal here all the way around. So what we're going to do today is try to physically mount this to this pole. Now we've had trouble, you can see our U-bolts down there that are holding our bracketing on. We had a lot of trouble finding the right ones. We finally got what we wanted. We've got it mounted in the right spot. And now it's time to try to test this and see if everything lines up. Coming back to this signal head here, a couple things that I'd like to show you before we get too far on it is, if you look on the end here, you can see this tiny little lens here with little squares in it. This lens is called a Phankill, and what it does is it steals some of the light that's coming out of the signal and it throws it down toward the track at about a 45-degree angle. And what that's for is if there's any signal maintainers or track workers that are working near this signal, they can still see the signal without being a mile away where the signal's actually pointed, and they can see what the aspect is. This is a focused signal. It's focused on one point off in the distance somewhere. Usually, these are supposed to be visible to up to a mile. So it's setting obviously on a pole that's at the height that a locomotive engineer can see the signal. But track workers that are working nearby can't see it. So they invented this Phankill lens, like I say, that steals part of the lens. It's just suspended in the middle here on this bracketing. It steals part of the light and it throws it down at a 45-degree angle. Now we've tested this to make sure everything is okay, and this one's in perfect shape. It works really great. It's a cool feature, and it's kind of a learning thing. So that's something that this will be the last time you see it, because we're going to cover this with a lens. Moving on over here, here's our smaller signal. Here's the lens hood for the larger top head signal, and here's the target. Now, the same guy that shot out the lens also was taking pot shots at the target. Now you can see all these indentations here, and we've tried to press those out as best we could. I think they'll be okay because, it's got a new coat of paint on it. It's kind of sitting back in the woods. You're not really going to see it. So we pressed them flat in our press as good as we could get, and we're going to call that good. So let's go back to the head here. Now, one of the interesting things about these heads is on top of this head, you've got this bracket. And this bracket is actually an aiming device. So you can aim this light at the height and the location down the track that you want it to be seen at. And what they do is they give you a crosshair. You can kind of see the crosshair there. And you line this crosshair up with a little tiny peephole on the back side. So you look through this peephole, you line it up with the crosshairs, you line the crosshairs up with what your target is in the distance, and then you've got your light in the right spot. So this signal head bracket gets mounted to the pole, obviously. And the head sits on the side of the pole. The light's going to be shooting this direction. So it's offset, it's not centered on the pole. And then, of course, all the other components, including the target, will be offset. When you look at this from the front, it'll be off to the right side of the pole. Most of them are done this way. This other signal down below has a long arm on it. And that can be, you can swing it off to the side, either side, left or right. In this case, what we're trying to do, you can see it's bolted in at a kind of a funny angle. And the reason that we did that is because we want to have the targets of the two signals lined up with each other from top to bottom. So they're stacked perfectly on top of each other. I've got our old lens in this box. I've got our new lens here. We're going to unbox that and show you. We're kind of proud of this lens because it took a lot of work to find it. So the old lens, like I was saying before, was shot out. This kind of gives you an idea of how thick it is, how thick the glass is. I'd say it's about, I don't know, 1.5 inches thick at the thickest part. So they took a shot at it and cracked it. So we decided to completely restore it. But we saved the old one. So we'll open up the new one here and see what we got. Okay, there it is. Looks like the right one so far. Now these are made from a company that no longer exists. So once our supplier that I found has a few more of these, but once they're gone, that's it. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Wow, look at that. And that is a perfect fit. Okay, so we now have the head mounted on our head bracket here. We've loosened up our up and down adjustment bolts on this, or nuts on this bolt here for up or down, and we've got these two for side to side adjustment loosened up so that once we get this thing up in the air, it'll be easier for somebody to come up there and just loosen them and turn them and adjust them the way it needs to be. So now we're going to move on to the lens that we just showed you. We're going to put it in, we're going to put the retaining ring in, and we're just going to start assembling this thing. So first thing we have to do is we have to get our very expensive lens and put that in, and then this retaining ring goes over it. Just like that. That's it for that. Now we'll come back and put the hood on. So now we've got our target here. We're going to put the target over the lens. All we're going to do is put it over the lens like this, slide it to the back, and we're going to leave it to sit for now. We're going to deal with that later, but this has to go over the lens before we put the hood on, otherwise you won't be able to slide it over. Now I explained earlier that we had the aiming device on top of the light. So you look through the peephole, and then you look through the crosshairs, and then you look through this peephole. So all those line up. So you can see through this target to line up your light in the proper spot. So this has to be on the top, which will be directly in front of the aiming device in the back. So we'll just leave this sit like this for a minute. And I had my screws here. So now we're going to attempt to get this hood fastened. We have 6 screws. And we're going to try to do the top screws first if we can. It should be that one. I'm going to start with that one. These are kind of small, so this might not have a happy ending. There, we've got our hood on, now our lens is protected. So the next step, we go behind, and then we'll show you the bracketing that we use to put this in place so it doesn't move around. So let's go around the back. Okay, I'm sitting on the back side of the signal head now. We've got our target kind of in place, it's kind of floating around. We've got our target bracketing on the back, and now we're going to finish fastening it to the front of the signal head. And the next thing we're going to do is make sure that we can see through our peephole before I tighten everything up. So we'll get down here and look through it. It looks pretty good. I'm just about to tighten the last 2 bolts. We'll get those tightened down. It's a casting, so we don't want to go too crazy with the tightening. Okay. And that's it. So our top head is now complete. And what we'll do is, once we get the signal mechanism that goes in here checked out, we've got some wires to replace. We'll be showing you all that in another segment here. This door will open up, it'll swing down. We'll show you how we hang. It actually hangs from the top of the inside of the box with a little pin that's on top. And then there's 2 bolts on either side that hold it to the front of the case. Okay, so we got our wire. Let's shove that through here. And then we're gonna let that rest like that. Turn it down like that. And where's my set screw? Set screw is right here. Just finger tighten it for now. Put the wires back through here. We want to save this. We're going to replace this, but this is just as a reference for the part we got to get. So we're going to put that back where it was and just let that sit there. If I can get it in. Come on. There we go. We'll just let that sit there and flop around like that for now. And we're going to rotate this a little bit. And now we can stand back and just see how close we got with our bracket. Now that looks really, really close to being right.
All right, so here we're sitting with the H2 mechanism, and we've got the part here that's got the electromechanical that switches between the red, the yellow, and the green. And like Phil said before, in the red state, that is when it's just at rest, and we have one system that'll power the light bulb that's in here, and then another that'll move between the resting state at red and the yellow and the green. We've got this hooked up to a 12 volt power supply, and if we turn the 12 volt power supply on and we turn on the light, we got the light sitting here that you can kind of see, and we've got the mechanism that switches between the 3 different states. So we got the red at rest, and then we got the green, and we got the yellow. So over here we just got a DP-DT double pole, double throw switch with a center off position. And now we will put the bulb in and show you guys this incredibly cool old thing. There. So now we got it together. Turn the bulb back on. There you can see red with the double pole, double throw switch in the off position, and then we apply power, and it swings that electromagnet to the green, and then we go back to the off, back to red, and then the electromagnet switches to the other side, and we get the yellow. A really, really cool piece of classic 1940s technology. You'd think about this now, and you'd just have 3 light bulbs that you'd be turning on any one of the 3. But, you know, the lens was the big part of this. So they had to have each one in the same spot going through that lens. And so it was one bulb and 3 different settings. And there you have it, the H2 mechanism. Yeah, so right now we've got the H2 mechanism sitting on the bench, and it's just cobbled together with bench power supply and a couple of switches here. But when it goes out on the actual signal stand, we want the electronics to be in a weatherproof case. So we're using a DIN system here, and the power will come in from the bottom. It'll come in here, it'll go to a circuit breaker, it'll go to the power supply, and then this will be our switch to go between the different light phases. We'll have one set of power that'll come off to the bottom light that'll always be on, and we'll have a second set of power that will be for the top light, which will be controlled by this switch here. One of the advantages of putting in a case like this, we think at some point we'll want to have this so that we can adjust the signal by our phone over the internet. Maybe we'll do a short range with Bluetooth. Maybe we'll actually hook it up to some kind of a cell card or something. And so the next time you see this, it'll be out there along the track on the stand.
Forward, right there. So we're out here on the main line right now. In the front of the property, we're obviously working on cement. We're putting in a footing for our new signal that we got from Iowa. We've got the signal all restored and ready to go up. So we're doing all the mixing here by hand. We're dumping it in. We've got a 5-foot sono tube in the ground, and we're about 2 feet from reaching the top right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here is our bolts that are going to hold the base of the signal in place. We've allowed enough space here for the base, a couple of nuts, a nice fat washer at the top. So this will just sit down on top of our form once we got it to the top. And the rest will be submerged in the concrete, and it should hold the base up. So it's been a couple days now since we did this pour on this footing. Looks great, the bolts are still in the right place, everything looks good. So in about a week or so we'll be able to finally get this signal put in place. So for right now I'm going to put a little railroad switch grease on the bolts, kind of keep them from getting rusty, make it easier to put the bolts back in when we want to assemble it. Kind of messy, but it's worth it.
Okay, go ahead, open it up, Ben.
We know how much you love mice.
They're like, well, where do we go?
It's in through the wire. It's not done. Oh, we got one more little one right here. There he goes. He came out the way he went in.
I would want to flip your pant like that. up tight to the light. I think that if you do that, I think you'll be okay.
Ready?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. There you got it. I'll get this pile if you want to get that pile. Everything is clearing. Now you're. Yeah.
Okay, you got it lifted now.
That's it. Right there. Yeah, but. Oh, okay, hold on a second.
What's the problem?
That wood might be in your way.
No, it's not.
Not? Okay.
No, we're good. I'm
Okay.
gonna drive forward. Get it spun the right way.
Yeah. Todd's almost there. Right there.
Come down on that top. Steady the base. You can go down and touch the base now.
Come on down a little bit. All the way. You're in. You're in.
Up with the sun a little bit.
Got it. Hold on a second.
that's the story of our new signal up to this point. In the spring, we'll come back, get it wired up, and put it in service.